The film opens with a brutal scene showing how ruthless this criminal organization truly is. Suspected of being a police informant, a director of the Good Moon Group is dragged to a warehouse for brutal questioning. Before he could acknowledge his subordinates, his life was taken with extremely cruel methods. Whether he was actually undercover seems beside the point. His interrogators never planned to let him walk out alive anyway. This person is named Ja-sung, a trusted operative within the Golden Gate Group, primarily responsible for handling the gang's less reputable tasks. In order to make the director completely disappear, his subordinates first encased him in cement, and then skillfully dumped him into the sea. Watching him sink to the bottom of the sea, Ja-sung felt a heavy burden lift from his shoulders, as this was his final mission. In fact, his true identity is that of an undercover police officer. For 8 years, he has collected a large amount of criminal evidence against the Good Moon Group, which is enough to send Chairman to prison, thus ending Ja-sung's mission. But things were more complicated than he imagined, even though the chairman was arrested by the police. However, on the eve of the trial, after a series of maneuvers by Chairman, the court unexpectedly dropped all charges against him. The Good Moon Group's influence has clearly already penetrated the government. On the night of his release, Chairman Seok was triumphant, believing that unless an accident occurred, no one in Korea could touch him. Unexpectedly, an accident really happened. Although Chairman Seok didn't die on the spot, his injuries were extremely severe. Outside the emergency room, almost all the leaders of various ranks from the group had gathered, except for Ja-sung's boss, Jung-jae, who was on a business trip in Shanghai. By the time Jung-jae flew back, it was already daylight. Seeing his old buddy personally come to welcome him, he immediately greeted him with a playful grin. "Hey there." But Ja-sung, looking at his carefree attitude, couldn't hide the disgust on his face, which made Jung-jae feel embarrassed. He tried to ease the awkwardness by roughhousing with his subordinates, but this only made him look more ridiculous. "Hey there, skinny old man, let's get going." "Hey buddy, hey you little punk, wait up!" Jung-jae was feeling a bit embarrassed, but to salvage some dignity, he proudly showed off his newly purchased glasses in the car. They were quite stylish, he thought. Brand names are just brand names, are they really that expensive? "How do I look? Handsome? Do I look like a big star?" Ja-sung still looked completely unimpressed after hearing this. Then Jung-jae took out another gift, saying it was a watch bought for Ja-sung's wife as the box was opened. Ja-sung immediately recognized it as a counterfeit product. Being cheap was one thing, but being exposed on the spot made Jung-jae feel utterly humiliated. When he realized his own glasses were also recognized as fake, he completely lost it, and took out his frustration on his subordinates again. Amid Jung-jae's tantrum, they soon arrived at the hospital. As the emergency room doors slowly opened, the attending physician delivered the news. Despite their best efforts, Chairman Seok had died on the operating table. Everyone understood that with such a massive organization, and no designated successor, the chairman's death would inevitably trigger a bloody power struggle. Early the next morning, the organization held an elaborate funeral for Chairman Seok. People streamed in continuously, with gang leaders from across the country in attendance. These people had all benefited from Chairman Seok's generosity, so they knelt and paid their respects sincerely. Then they approached Jung-jae to express their condolences. After Chairman Seok's death, Jung-jae became the organization's face, greatly displeasing Jung-gu nearby. Everyone knew his power matched Jung-jae's, and Jung-gu was filled with resentment. I spotted some uninvited guests outside the door. They were young police officers recording funeral details. Jung-gu boldly smashes their car window, snatches their camera, and throws it to the ground. Then he arrogantly reminded several people to be careful when going out, warning that they might be hacked to death one day. At this moment, an important figure walked over from behind the car. This person is Chief Kang from the anti-gang unit. He has been fighting the Good Moon Group for 10 years. He has many tactics, and is also a master of verbal sparring. To save face for the police department, Chief Kang demanded Jung-gu pay for the lost camera, or he'd disrupt the funeral. Jung-gu knew that he would do what he said, so he could only reluctantly pay the money. But even after Jung-gu made concessions, Chief Kang was still relentless and humiliated him again. "Hey, listen up, there's something else I need to tell you. I'm getting promoted at work. You must be absolutely thrilled about that. But I couldn't help but notice that you didn't even bother to give me a gift to celebrate my promotion. Aren't you afraid of what might happen if I decide to deal with you? Why are you being so quiet, kid? Are you scared of me or something? Even though Chairman Seok is dead now, the fight against the gang group is still far from over." After the funeral, Chief Kang's superior submitted a detailed report to the senior leadership. The Good Moon Group is the most violent crime syndicate, and they have already penetrated into the political scene. If left unchecked, I fear what might happen in the future. The best option is to puppet one of the three that could be used by the police to control the gang. The first person is Jung-jae. He is the most skilled in the group, responsible not only for domestic construction and logistics, but also overseeing a significant amount of overseas business. Although he ranks third within the group, he is the most popular among the three. Next up is Jung-gu. He ranks fourth in the organization. His power shouldn't be taken lightly. He controls underground gambling dens and other entertainment businesses. He is one of the pioneers in the gang, but is jealous of Jung-jae because of his popularity. So there's a lot of tension between these two. Compared to these two characters, though ranked second, it's just an empty title. But he only has an empty reputation now and is basically semi-retired. The chief commander did not mention who he wanted to take over the gang, he just agreed to the plan. If it succeeds, you take credit. If it fails, you can distance yourself from responsibility. Lee Ja-sung, used as a pawn, remained completely unaware of this. As usual, he'd visit the chess room weekly to report, with his chess instructor acting as the contact between him and Chief Kang. Today, Lee Ja-sung was in high spirits because Chairman Seok was dead, and the gangster lifestyle he loathed was finally coming to an end. But his contact said there is new orders from the higher-ups. This is the phrase Ja-sung despised the most. They promised 3 years and then another 3, but the endless torment pushed his anger to the breaking point again and again. He angrily found Chief Kang and demanded, "What exactly do you want? What the hell are you doing? You clearly said it was the last time. The situation has changed." "What situation? Is it my fault we didn't prosecute Chairman Seok? Is it my fault he died?" Lee Ja-sung insisted that his mission was already complete. Chief Kang didn't argue with him. A sarcastic remark, "If you don't want to do the job, just quit already. Staying in the gang brings you more fortune than a cop. It's gonna end badly for you." These words might sound harsh, but Ja-sung had no way out. Once Chief Kang had Ja-sung completely under his thumb, he dangled a carrot, saying to hang in there a few more weeks until the Good Moon Group's election ended, and his undercover mission would be done. When the time comes, the government will pay to send his whole family abroad. Ja-sung knows he has no choice, and can only trust Chief Kang this time. Before leaving, Chief Kang hands Ja-sung a gift. Ja-sung's wife is about to give birth, so Chief Kang picked out several baby toys, which also serves as a warning to Ja-sung to follow the arrangements. Otherwise, your wife and child will also be implicated. Upon hearing that his family was involved, Ja-sung instantly became furious, threw the gifts into the water, and left the place filled with anger. The next day, after internal discussions, Good Moon Group finally decided to elect a new chairman at the month-end board meeting. The arrogant Jung-gu was full of confidence about this election, and did not take Jung-cheong seriously. He left the venue before the meeting concluded. Since Jung-cheong hasn't finished his business in Shanghai, he needs to go back tomorrow. Before leaving, he warned Ja-sung to be careful of Jung-gu, as this person is known to be ruthless, and might do something reckless. Before they made it out of the garage, his words came true. Jung-gu was trying to intimidate Jung-cheong while also formally declaring war on him. The fact that he could crack such a joke when tensions were so high between them just shows how unhinged he really is. Jung-cheong was deeply moved by Ja-sung's protective action, jumping in front of the car. Over the years, whenever danger arose, Ja-sung was always the first to rush out, and because of this, Jung-cheong has always regarded Ja-sung as his best brother. Later they all headed to a Chinese restaurant for dinner. When everyone learned Ja-sung was expecting a child, their reactions contrasted sharply with Chief Kang's. "Little nephew, please, you must grow up to look like your aunt. I really hope you inherit her features as you get older." "Young man, you've made some excellent points there. Cheers." 1,000 cups, cheers. The next day, Jung-cheong arrived at the airport on time, but after passing security, something unexpected happened. He was stopped by Chief Kang's men. Chief Kang provided evidence of Jung-gu's crimes. The message was clear. They could arrest Jung-gu anytime, clearing the path for Jung-cheong's rise to power. Despite his typically cocky demeanor, Jung-cheong thinks more comprehensively than anyone when handling situations. He knew perfectly well that accepting help from the police meant giving them leverage over him. Even if he became the group's leader, he'd be nothing more than the police's puppet. When Jung-cheong didn't respond, Chief Kang showed evidence of his crimes, warning that police could ally with Jung-gu if he refused to cooperate. Seeing the documents, Jung-cheong realized the police must have planted an undercover cop in his inner circle. No ordinary subordinate could access such confidential information. Though Jung-cheong gave no clear answer, Chief Kang had accomplished what he wanted. He promptly arrested Jung-gu. The evidence wasn't solid, but it was enough to hold him until after the election. This way, everyone would assume Jung-cheong had struck some deal with the police, but Chief Kang had underestimated Jung-cheong's resourcefulness. On the plane, Jung-cheong told Master Feng to find expert hackers. Have them break into the police database to identify the undercover agent. "I don't care what it costs. We need to get the best people on this project right away. I know a few really good ones back home in China. Also, please call over old Chen from Yangbian. We need him here for the meeting." The old Chen Jung-cheong mentioned are actually Yanbian's deadliest hit squad, the F4. After getting his message, they quickly made their way to Korea, standing by for Jung-cheong's next move. Shortly after he returned from Shanghai, the first thing he did was to go to the jail to visit Jung-gu. Clearly explained that he did not cooperate with the police. He also promised to get a lawyer to get him out. Jung-gu was furious after hearing this. He felt insulted by the other party because of Jung-cheong's actions. He just wanted to prevent internal conflicts during the group's most vulnerable period, avoiding any opportunity for police to exploit the situation. To understand the police's true intentions, Jung-cheong arranged another meeting with Chief Kang, attempting to bribe him with a substantial offer to stop interfering in the Good Moon Group's business affairs and ongoing operations. Jung-cheong offered to deliver a box of mooncakes monthly if the amount wasn't enough. Chief Kang looked utterly disgusted, as if he'd eaten something rotten, and threw the mooncakes down. Having dealt with gangsters for half his life, if he could be bought, it would have happened long ago. That money couldn't resolve this matter showed the situation was far more serious than imagined. Right after returning to his car following the rejection, Jung-chong received the undercover files from the hacker. Looking through the contents, he felt a mix of emotions. Hello? Can we trust this? These files are from China's top hacker team. They contain sensitive information. After getting Master Feng's confirmation, he felt a sharp pain in his heart, like a thorn stuck deep inside. Just then, his phone rang. He quickly composed himself. Hey buddy, where are you? The caller was Jasung, and he felt a vague sense of unease. This is the first time Jung-chong has not informed him about his arrival. What made him even more nervous was Jung-chong's invitation to meet at the warehouse that night, promising a surprise. The warehouse was typically used for only one thing, taking care of people who'd become problems. As night fell, Jasung arrived as promised, although Jung-chong still appeared carefree and unconcerned. But Jasung couldn't relax at all because he really couldn't understand what Jung-chong was thinking. He ordered the forklift to be brought over. As the forklift slowly approached from behind, Jung-chong's face grew serious. Jasung felt his heart racing, but he knew he had to keep his composure. Jung-chong motioned for him to open the iron barrel himself to see the gift specially prepared for him. But he really couldn't figure out who was inside the barrel. The person in the barrel was his chess teacher, and Jung-chong regretfully noted what a pity it was for her to have such a good figure, only to discover she was an undercover cop. Everyone knew the chess teacher and Jasung were close, but it was unclear if the teacher had disclosed anything personal. Jasung could only force himself to appear calm. Thankfully, Jung-chong stated that the chess teacher didn't reveal his accomplice. This makes Jasung feel slightly relieved. Then Jung-chong handed him another file. According to what we got from the hacker, he explained, the chess teacher was Chief Kang's student before, and later they became lovers. This seemed irrelevant to him. Jasung quickly wiped the sweat from his face. But, Jung-chong continued, there's info about an undercover agent at the end of the file. Watching his closest little brother being beaten to death, Jasung hurriedly flipped through the documents, something even he was unaware of. It seemed Captain Jung had never fully trusted him and had arranged for him to be an undercover agent as well. Right now, Jasung was not just terrified to the point of breathlessness, but also filled with doubt. Through the deaths of those two people, Jung-chong should have realized my undercover identity. But why hasn't he exposed me? Jung-chong's eyes darted toward Yanbian F4. Clean the mess. Next, the Yanbian F4 started cleaning up the mess. Only after Jung-chong had walked far away did Jasung snap back to reality. He grabbed the assassin's gun and pointed it directly at the chess teacher, partly to end her suffering and partly to clear himself of any suspicion about being undercover. The chess teacher also noticed his thoughts and nodded in agreement to accept this outcome. After this incident, Jasung was truly scared, so he asked Chief Kang to meet him. He wants to know the plans of the police division. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. Just then, a familiar face approached from behind. It was Director Jung, the number 2 figure in the Good Moon Group. Chief Kang had wanted to support him for the leadership position from the start. Despite having the smallest influence in the gang's internal competition, Jung's desire for power never diminished. Most importantly, he always followed the police's orders obediently. To help him rise to power, Chief Kang wanted Jasung's full support. Jae-sung, like Jung-cheong, was an overseas Chinese, and their subordinates were also mostly overseas Chinese. So it wouldn't be difficult for Jasung to control them. After hearing this, Jasung was seething with anger. He was tired of being manipulated. But Chief Kang's next words devastated him even more. According to the plan, after supporting Jung, Jasung will take over the Good Moon Group. This sentence was essentially giving him a life sentence. Jasung broke down, begging Chief Kang to let him go because of their years of friendship. However, Chief Kang said he no longer had a choice. All confidential files have been compromised, including your information. Jasung's file sits right there on Jung-cheong's desk, yet for some reason, he hasn't made a move against him. Nobody knows why. Subsequently, Jung-cheong carefully locked the secret in the safe twice, which left Master Feng quite puzzled and somewhat concerned. Jung-cheong, I really want to know why you don't dare to get rid of Jasung, Master Feng inquired with genuine curiosity in his voice. Jung-cheong ignored him and left the office. Captain Jung is equally puzzled. He really can't figure out Jung-cheong's reason for not killing Jasung. What troubles him even more is that the hacker deliberately erased Jasung's police credentials. Now, only Chief Kang and his director can verify his police identity. This is yet another blatant threat if he does not comply with the arrangements. Not only has he lost his identity as a police officer, but Jung-cheong could eliminate him any time. Chief Kang reassures him not to worry since Jung-cheong is about to die. Last night, he disclosed vital info to Jung-gu, showing that Jung-cheong had already made a deal with the police, and this arrest was meant to help Jung-cheong gain power. Before leaving, he dropped several photos showing Jung-cheong with Section Chief Kang together everywhere from the airport to the stadium. Jung-gu knows what the cops are up to, but he still couldn't swallow his pride. That night he summoned his men and barked, "Tell all our brothers, I don't care what it takes, I want Jung-cheong dead, him and everyone connected to him." Sure enough, Jung-cheong and his crew were ambushed as soon as they reached the garage. Having risen through the ranks from humble beginnings, Jung-jae demonstrated exceptional proficiency in combat. Unfortunately, the attackers kept multiplying, and in less than 1 minute, over 200 people flooded the parking lot. His men could only fight desperately to protect Jung-jae as they retreated. The group fought while retreating and finally reached the elevator with great difficulty just as the doors slowly opened. Inside they were Jung-jae's men, and Jung-jae was quickly pulled into the elevator. Facing 6 attackers, he unleashed astonishing fighting power. Meanwhile, upstairs, Master Feng had also fallen victim, and they didn't even spare Jia Sung's pregnant wife. Several assassins followed her home, but when the door opened, they realized they'd walked into an ambush. Chief Kang had already stationed police officers there, knowing Jung-jae was capable of anything when enraged. However, the shock sent Jia Sung's wife into premature labor. When she finally noticed, blood was already streaming down her legs and pooling on the floor. At this moment, the battle on Jung-jae's side had also ended, as the elevator doors slowly opened. The last person standing also fell, leaving only him barely holding on in the entire elevator. Everything was under Chief Jiang's control, and Jia Sung could do nothing but silently endure it. After the conversation, he rushed to the hospital, where gang members filled the hallway to prevent another attack from Jung-jae's group. Jung-jae was already unconscious, and several old members of the gang rushed over upon hearing the news. They first cursed Jung-jae as a mad dog. Then the conversation shifted to tomorrow's election, and only then did Jia Sung realize those bastards' intentions. They had apparently been bought by Jiang. Jia Sung suddenly felt that Jung-jae was as pitiful as he was. Both were just pawns being used by others. But he had no time to dwell on this. His wife was still lying in another hospital. She remained in a coma, and though her life was saved, their unborn child wasn't so fortunate. Family remained Jia Sung's fundamental principle, and he understood that without extricating himself from this situation, tragedy could manifest itself again. The following morning, Chief Kang assigned new tasks to everyone as usual, completely unaware that Jia Sung had already formed his own secret plans behind the scenes. Before leaving, Chief Kang said Jung-jae would soon be released from prison, and warned Jia Sung not to move against him. Clearly this was another round in their game. Jia Sung understood that Chief Kang planned to use Jung-jae to keep him in check. After leaving, Jia Sung became even more certain. No matter how loyal he was, he would never be fully trusted. Rather than endlessly being a pawn, he might as well take control of his own life. Just then, an urgent call came from the hospital. Jung-jae had awakened and wanted to see Jia Sung first, seemingly having much to tell him. Jia Sung was filled with guilt, his eyes constantly avoiding contact. Relax your expression, there's no need to look so worried. I promise I'm not going to eat you. You can feel completely at ease around me. I honestly thought I'd never see you again after all this time. I'm so freaking happy. Hey, bro. You look exhausted. Don't be like that. Make a choice. Listen to your big brother, idiot, and you'll live. It's not that complicated. I've been through this before and I know what I'm talking about. If you want to survive this situation, you need to trust me and do exactly what I say. Hey, what are you doing? Big brother! What if I am alive? How would you respond in that situation? You think you can take me on? I'd like to see you try. Let's see what you've got. Jung-jae understood Jia Sung was caught in a tough spot between the police and the gang. Without suggesting which side to choose, he advised Jia Sung to act ruthlessly if he wanted to stand firm. Additionally, Jung-jae mentioned that he had prepared a gift for him in his safe. After saying this, he left. Jung-jae's death fully awakened Jia Sung, strengthening his resolve. He now needed to protect himself and seek revenge. In this way, Jia Sung took over all of Jung-jae's forces and held a funeral for him overnight. Because tomorrow morning is the day of the group's election. After the funeral ended, Jia Sung went alone to Jung-jae's office. He took a file folder from the safe, which contained his police information from 2001. In addition, there was a pair of couples' watches. It doesn't matter whether the watches are counterfeit, as they weigh more than anything else. At this moment, 1,000 emotions washed over Jia Sung. This respect and care was something he'd never experienced from the police. When Ja-sung put on the watch, it indicated that he was no longer hesitating, and it also foreshadowed a new wave of turmoil and bloodshed was about to arrive. Early the next morning, Jung-gu was released, but strangely, none of his followers came to greet him. It was clear his power had completely crumbled. As for who could have orchestrated such a fall, he already seemed to know the answer. Meanwhile, Ja-sung was heading out to attend the election meeting at Good Moon Group. Just as he was leaving his building, a car blocked his path. It was Jang, offering him a ride, claiming they were headed in the same direction. But halfway there, Jang's car suddenly accelerated and veered off the route to Good Moon, weaving through several complex intersections. They'd lost all of Ja-sung's men and finally arrived at a deserted location. Only then did Jang show his true colors. He'd always resented Jong-chong and the younger generation. Once, his word had been law in the gang, but now he'd been pushed to the margins. Before, he'd swallowed his anger in silence. Now, he wanted power back, and to eliminate any future threats, he had to get rid of Ja-sung. At the same time, the newly released Jung-gu returned to his shabby office. Right behind him followed a group of threatening thugs. Knowing his end was near, Jung-gu asked them for a cigarette. Despite his inherent arrogance and superiority complex, Jung-gu demonstrated the integrity to acknowledge defeat. From the moment he decided to target Jong-cheong, he prepared himself to lose the bet. Jang was also facing the consequences of their wager. He never imagined that Ja-sung had already flipped the thugs he paid so handsomely. Just like that, his dreams of making a comeback were completely shattered. Meanwhile, the Good Moon Group executives were still waiting for candidates to show up. Instead, they got bombshell news. Jang had run into some minor problems and was voluntarily dropping out of the chairman race. While everyone was still processing this shock, men dressed in black suddenly burst through the doors of the meeting hall. And just like that, Ja-sung's application was accepted, making him one of the candidates, something none of the old-timers saw coming. It was obvious that Ja-sung was determined to secure the position of chairman, but he wasn't in a hurry because he was still waiting for some important news. The truth is, Ja-sung had already given orders to the Ambien hitmen last night. Today, they'd split into two teams, one heading to the abandoned factory to take out Chief Kang, the other to eliminate Chief Ko. Ja-sung's undercover identity will be erased forever. Chief Kang, showing signs of aging, was fatally stabbed by the Ambien assassin. He never imagined that after a lifetime of fishing, he would die in his own fish pond. Director Ko was also targeted for assassination. After clearing all obstacles, Ja-sung finally accepted the election, becoming the new chairman of Good Moon Group. Despite this being a position everyone dreamed of, there was no trace of joy on his face. He had betrayed his original dream of being a good cop, and had shouldered too much pain and resignation along the way. Alone in his empty office, staring at his personal file on the desk, he couldn't help but recall when Chief Kang recruited him as an undercover agent years ago. Finally, he burned the only documents that could prove his police identity. Before, he had no choice. Now, he has decided to be a villain in the eyes of others. In the film's closing moments, through Ja-sung's memories, we see a sequence of him and Jong-chong first entering the underworld 6 years earlier, a powerful reminder of their brotherhood. "You coming or what?" Jong-chong's voice echoes from the past. "Sorry, I get so nervous I have to pee. How pathetic is that? I seriously can't control it when I'm anxious like this. Let me go to the bathroom and pee again. This always happens to me in stressful situations." Damn, I got pee all over my hand. Let's decide what to do after we're done. We'll talk about it later. What the hell are we supposed to do about this situation? It's completely ridiculous. Let's do it another day. Too crowded here. Back then, Jong-chong would get so nervous before attacks that he'd need to pee, while Ja-sung was more like a reliable big brother, always leading from the front. Protecting Jong-chong had become second nature to him, as was clear when Jong-chong discovered his good brother was working undercover. There was no reason to kill him. Even as he was dying, he was still trying to plan a way out for Ja-sung. Although Ja-sung has now become the chairman of the group, he still cherishes the time he spent working hard alongside Jong-cheong. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching.